everyone, welcome back to my craft room. My name is Whitney. Today's video includes cat shenanigans, a lot of crafting, some background singing,
My littles.
distractions, stranger danger,
What is it, a stranger danger? Is there a kitty up on the patio?
cat playtime, sprinkled with a little bit of frustration. Enjoy!
Oh my god, I didn't record any of that. The next project I have, which is going to be call it a medieval or a Renfest Nightmare for Christmas Sally. There's a beautiful artwork that I have seen on Instagram. I will link the artist below. She's sitting in the forest. She's wearing this, kind of reminds me of like the first Snow White patchy skirt. And I just fell in love with it. I love everything Snow White, or I love everything Nightmare for Christmas. And I love making patchwork skirts, and I love making the patchwork. I've done so many Sallys, I just have never really recorded my Sally process. This one's just going to be not so different. So what I have for this project is I bought a tablecloth off of eBay. I bought it secondhand. I'm about to throw it in the wash. One of the best tips that I picked up was buying a circle skirt, a circle tablecloth, and making it into a circle skirt. It's so easy. It's already hemmed. You just have to cut out the waist, put on a waistband, boom, it's done. So I bought myself a 90-inch round. That's what works best for the fullness that I like and also the length. And so I picked that up, gonna throw that in the wash, and then I took a pattern off of a vest that I bought off of Amazon. It is a medieval vest, and I am just going to recreate that using some fabric that I have on hand. So let's get into it. I have folded it in half and then folded it again so that it's made this nice angle. And as you can see, this is going to be the basis for my circle skirt, which I have a multitude of circle skirt patterns. This just happens to be the one I most recently had on hand. I don't care about the length because obviously the circle skirt already has the length, or the tablecloth already has its length. I'm literally just going to put this up here and then cut that out, and that is going to become my waist of my circle skirt. And I got this particular fabric. I thought it was going to be a little bit more brown. It is a little more yellow. It does have a very nice little ruffle on the bottom. Let me show you here. So it already had this ruffle, which I thought was really nice, and I wouldn't have to add to it. I may even go over this and add another ruffle. I have yet to decide yet. But now I'm just going to cut out that waist, and then I'm going to make a waistband. And then that is literally the easiest way that you can make a circle skirt base. It's one of my favorite little hacks you can do. I have done both ways, where I've taken a tablecloth, turned it into a circle skirt, or I've also gone and bought 6+ yards of fabric and created the full skirt out of that. This just happens to be one of my favorite ways. You can usually get a used tablecloth for pretty cheap. You wash it up real nice, turn it into whatever sort of cosplay or skirt that you want. And with this one, I'm going to, like I said, turn this into a circle skirt, and then I'm going to add the patchwork onto it to make it the Sally skirt that I have in mind. The last couple times I have made Sally, I have made the pattern and then I have cut out the patchwork, but that's because I'm piecing together a bunch of different fabrics. This one itself, this is the main garment, and I'm going to add patchwork to it. So let's go. I try to keep patterns for things that I make all the time, and I make circle skirts so much that I have created a template for the waistband, because I'm always doing elastic waistbands on my skirts. I'm making a pattern, and you can see here I've marked in inches, so if I want a 4-inch circle skirt or a 4-inch band, I know it's going to end up being 2 inches around, which is my preference. I really like it. But you can make it even smaller if you want, you know, a 1 inch. You just have to cut it this way on a fold. But I think they're really helpful to have, especially if you're making it constantly and don't want to have to constantly do the number crunching or whatever else. And then you can literally just lay your fabric down, cut out your piece, and make your nice little circle skirt. And I am planning on using, you know, browns and like rust reds, and maybe even some more greens to tie in the bodice. I'm not quite sure yet. I am just going to cut my waistband out of this brown cotton fabric that I have and go with that. I'm going to end up seaming the edges together so that it forms a circle. And then once that is joined up, I will then fold this in half and pin the raw edge to the top of the circle skirt so that when it's faced up, it's really nice and clean. And this right here is why I never get any work done. She seems to think that this is the coolest playground ever. Kitty. Are you done? Can I have my skirt back? No? I would like my skirt back. Can I have this? You stink. And I love you. Oh, stinky pinky. Thank you. She thinks my skirt is a playground. I had to go get a decoy tablecloth to keep this one busy because she is an absolute menace. She's having a great time. Alright, we are back to work on the skirt, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draft out how big I want my patches. I will use that using some scrap paper, and then I will cut those out of the fabric that I will be using, and then I'm going to sew that directly to the band. There's Mizu. Let's get started. Oh my god, I didn't record any of that. Alright, so I've gone into my fabric stash and I have just pulled out some scraps from prior projects that I am going to use for the patchwork on this skirt. And I think that these colors are really lovely. I'm biased because a lot of these are earth tones, but that's kind of how I build my Sally. So we are just going to take these paper patterns. I literally just trace these out on some scrap paper. They don't have to be perfect. It's Sally. I'm not too worried about it. So we're just going to cut these shapes out of these fabric. You can hem them. You don't have to. I might, just to keep them from snagging on anything. So let's get to cutting. I just hemmed these pieces for my patchwork. I do not really have a method for how I'm going to apply them. I'm literally just going to eyeball where I want them pin them onto the skirt, and then later I will go and sew them on. Okay, so disregard what I said a minute ago about pinning it down. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to sew in these lines for the patchwork and then put the actual patches into the actual line work to make it look a little bit more seamlessly blended in. So I'm going to go sew in these lines. Again, they don't have to be perfect. I'm not worried about it being exactly precise. It's Sally, it's patchwork, it's stitching. It's not supposed to look completely perfect. All right, quick check-in here. I am continuing sewing down the patches. As you can see, I haven't fully sewn some of these down quite yet. I'm mostly focusing on getting the lines in, putting down the patches. I've also added in some lace scraps that I had. I think it's looking really lovely. It is a lot of work. It is very tedious. This is not my normal method for how I do my patchwork. I literally normally design the actual shape and then I cut out the swatches or the patchwork design on the paper, and then I transfer it to paper, fabric, and then I sew it up. So this one's just kind of piecemealing. I think it's coming out okay. Again, it's not my normal method that I use, so I'm excited to see how it's going to turn out in the end. I've got quite a bit of work left to do. Some of these, like I said, need to be stitched across, but right now I'm just focusing on getting kind of the bulk of the pieces down, the lining down. I think I'm about maybe halfway on getting this. Again, this was a 90-inch tablecloth. You can see the back hasn't even been touched yet, but I am just gonna keep sewing away, adding patches, and I will check in later. Alright, quick check-in time. I have got all of my patches sewn on. I was even able to find, I had this really pretty mesh ribbon in my stash from, I don't know, a couple years ago from the Dollar Tree, and it's beautiful. You can see the foil leaf here. It looks really, really pretty, and I think it really just helps add in some more of those earth and fall tones. So my next step for this, I have ordered some ruffle trim to add to the bottom because I decided that I did in fact want some like lace trim or ruffle trim for the bottom of this skirt. So I've ordered, there was a package on Amazon for 11 yards. So once that comes in the next couple of days, I will be sewing that to the bottom. But for the most part, this skirt is done and I am really happy with it. I decided as I was going along, I was just going to add in some more patches of lace and fabric and everything else, and I think it turned out really pretty. It was a lot of work stitching all of this down, but I think that it turned out really nice in the end. So I will check back in once that trim is in, and we will get that sewn up, and then this skirt will be done. All right, my ruffle trim has arrived from Amazon. It is a little sheer, not terribly worried about that. I also noticed that this edge is not finished. I may just literally just run this through and finish off this edge before I attach it to my skirt because I just feel like it is going to get more and more frayed. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna measure out I'm actually gonna measure this out against my skirt to make sure I cut off enough of this. This says it's 11 yards. I don't think I'm gonna go through 11 yards. I don't know. My skirt, normally when I make really large circle skirts, it's about 6 yards, but just to be safe, I am literally going to take this off, measure it against the skirt, and then I'll finish off this edge and then just attach that to the bottom of the skirt. No, 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 no. No. In the artwork, there is this cute little heart tray that she has her sewing needles. This one's a little smaller. There is one size bigger. Still contemplating if I want to even bother trying to go and get the bigger size, or maybe I can like disassemble this and make it a little bit bigger. All right, we are on to prop time. In the artwork, she has a little sewing kit in this cute little wooden basket. This one is just from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to create the other pieces that are inside the little sewing basket. She has a little pin cushion that I'm going to create. This is a lid from a candle. I have just made a paper template for the inside here. You can find a lot of great tutorials on learning how to make your own pin cushion. I'm going to be creating mine just using some scrap fabric. I've made a paper pattern. The other thing that I have for my basket is I got these on clearance at Michael's, and they are little wooden spools. So I am going to end up covering this. I've got this really pretty twine that I have used on other projects. I'm just going to end up wrapping them with that, and that's going to be my bobbins for my little prop. And then I have just here, this is some brushed out yarn from other projects. I'm just going to use that to stuff my little pin cushion. The only thing that I am missing, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to add to it, is she does have a pair of scissors in her craft basket, and I'm just not quite sure yet if I want to maybe create some fake scissors. I just don't really like the idea of carrying around a pair of scissors. Just A, I don't want the bulk. B, I don't want to have to worry about a giant pair of scissors falling out of my basket or whatever else. So I may see if there is some sort of like wooden scissors, or maybe I can make some out of cardboard or something to add to my box. So that's what we're heading on to.
What are you doing, Stinky? You are the Stinky, Binky. The Binky, Stinky, Binky. My riddles. Naughty. The Stinky, the Binky. The Binky, Stinky, Binky.
Yeah. Hi, girl. She is the... Oh, you about ate shit. You did. About ate shit.
The Stinky Binky. She's the Stinky Binky.
Battery on my camcorder died, so you get phone footage for a minute. All I am doing to finish these scissor props is I am using just some masking tape to literally tape together the 3 layers just to give it a little bit more structure and stability. This is, I believe, called, well, she's sitting on it, otherwise I would tell you what it's called. It's like a really thin cardboard. You can actually put this through your Cricut machine. So I just got this at Michael's, and I just thought it'd be it's a particle board, I think is what it's called. So I'm just covering the 3 layers with some of this this tape, and then I might use some of this fake leather for the handle. I got this at the Dollar Tree as well. I love this fake leather. I think it looks really nice. So, and then for the actual like scissor blade, I'm going to use my favorite technique, which is basically using aluminum tape that makes it look like it's metal. So once I get these all taped up, I'm going to put the aluminum tape on the bottom of the scissor portion right here, and I will show you that when I get started. Poke, 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 poke. This is the aluminum tape. It literally looks like metal. It is awesome. I just have this strip, and I am going to just literally take the backing off and smooth it over the front and the back of these fake scissors. I will show you what they look like when they're done. This can be really finicky. You're going to want to slowly peel and press and smooth so it looks really nice. I don't care if they look dimply because they are a prop and you're not going to be seeing them super up close anyway. So I will show you what they look like once they're taped. One thing I wanted to mention is this tape can actually cut you, so please be very, very careful when you're peeling it, especially like these jagged edges right here on the sides. This actually can get quite sharp, so just be very careful when you're applying this tape as it could potentially give you a little cut. All right, I got the aluminum tape on the scissors. Again, they are a little dimply, not really that worried about it. My next step is I am going to cover the handles with the fake leather. I'm just going to hot glue that onto the top of it. And I think for that, I am just going to trace out this. I've got the paper pattern right here. So I'm just going to trace this out a little bit bigger, the top handle part, probably like from there up with the blue leather. Cut that out and then hot glue it directly to the cardboard. All right, I got that all glued down just with hot glue. It was kind of finicky. There are some edges that you can see in like in the inside there. I'm just going to take a Sharpie and color that in and, add some shading to the scissors. To put them together, you can use a oh man, of course I brain fart on what they're called. It's a bracket. It's a bracket. And it'll go through here and it'll make it so that they can actually hinge. I will show you when I get to that part. Okay, it's not called a bracket, it's called a brad. And it's got this little piece right here, and then these pieces can splay flat so that it holds it in place. I'm just going to I have this needle tool that I use in a lot of my crafts. Originally used it for like clay making, but I am going to literally just use this, poke a hole down the center of both spots right here, and then push the brad through it. My little sewing box is coming along really nicely. I'm really, really happy with it. Next, I got this with, I think this came with like an embroidery thread or something, but it basically looks like a needle. I think it is technically a needle. I am going to spray paint this with silver so it looks like an actual needle, so I can literally just glue it or put it in my little pin pouch here. The other thing that I got from the Dollar Tree to help spruce that up is I actually got these really pretty velvet push pins. They are a very dark blue, kind of hard to see here on camera, but I just thought having the blue scissors, a little bit of blue thread to match that blue in the skirt, plus, Sally has kind of got that tint of blue going on. So I'm going to add a few push pins to this, and then I am going to get my silver spray paint and color this. This is my favorite metallic spray, so I've given it a good shake. Fortunately, it's warm enough to come outside and spray. Let's just go ahead and get this all painted up.
one more quick check-in. I have painted my little sewing box. I hesitated to paint it at first, but now I'm really glad that I did. I think it needed a little extra paint on there. Otherwise, it just literally looked like unfinished wood, which is what it was. Obviously, it's still a little wet. I've got a little bit more paint on me. I do have these maple leaves. There are some burlap ones in here that I may glue to the bottom or kind of like sticking out. I have my paper measuring tape. I have covered with this with regular like Scotch tape to try to make it a little bit more sturdy. That's just going to be hanging out of the bin. I might, like I said, I'm probably going to be hot gluing most of this down. That way it doesn't fall out. I have my little pin cushion here, and I actually have safety pinned some of these on here because you never know when you're going to need a safety pin, and there have been many times that I've gone to the Renaissance Festival where I've needed one, so I just attached a couple extras here. I'll be attaching my push pins in a little bit. I can't do that without supervision because my cat will steal them, so they're staying in the package for now. So that's going to go in there. I have my little sewing needle that I spray painted, and I think it looks really wonderful. So I don't lose this, I'm thinking of actually taking some thread and stitching a long thread so that I can still like pull it up, but I want it to be attached to this so that it doesn't fall out and I lose this because I'd be kind of sad about it. So I'm going to worry about that tomorrow. Those are my threads, my scissors, which I'm actually just really happy with how they came out. So tomorrow morning, we will work on getting everything glued into place and finishing up this little prop. Did cut out all of my pieces, including my liner. I have had this fabric for absolute ages, and I just thought it'd be really pretty on the inside of her bodice. So I cut that out. My next step is I'm going to be cutting out some interfacing to interface the lining just so it's a little bit more stable. This is old, and I also did have to seam two of the pieces together because I didn't have enough scraps. I had to put two pieces together, as you can see there. So I am going to interface that for a little bit more structure, and then we can sew it up together and I can show you the next steps.
would just like to point out that this is my vision while I'm sewing. She is currently asleep on the edge of the couch here, on my slippers. Look at her. She's being cute right now, but I promise you, she's a menace. Alright, I am back to work on my Sally bodice, and right now I am going to be making the lace-up structure that's going to go on the inside of the bodice front here before I seam this up. This little piece is going to get sewn inside so that when it's all sewn up, I will have an ability to lace this up. You can use the eyelets or you can even hand sew it. I just find that this is easier, and I hate hammering in the eyelets or even using, embroidery thread to make your own that way. So all I've done here is I've cut out a paper pattern and I have marked. I was testing to see how many loops I wanted. I ended up going with 9 loops. So all I am going to do now is just measure out how many loops I want, get them cut out. This piece of fabric is a little bit longer than my template here, and all I'm going to do is cut these out, pin this to this piece, fold it, and sew it. You can find a lot of really great tutorials for this for people who make lace-up alterations. You can even buy these pre-made. I just happen to have the materials here, so I'm going to do them myself. Don't disrupt the baby. She's sleeping. Oh, what's matter? What's on the patio? Daddy, something's on the patio. I want you to come help. He's stressed. What is it, baby? Daddy. What is it, baby? What is it? What is it? Got stranger danger? Is there a kitty up on the patio? Please don't teach your sister to do this. Oh, what's matter? Daddy, there's stranger danger. Help.
What?
Dad, there's something there. Dad, help. I gotta go kick his ass. I need to defend the house's honor.
You wanna go outside for a minute? It's
Yeah.
fucking cold.
I don't care. I gotta go.
All right, come on, let's go.
I gotta go.
Let's go check it out.
Okay.
Let's go check it out.
Okay, Dad, let's go.
Come on.
Stranger danger.
You ran inside right as you got outside. What the fuck? You didn't even do anything else.
Was there anything out there?
No, turn that off. Like, or
Music was like, I don't understand. He just started freaking out.
Alright, I got those all stitched up. I did a top stitching over the final just to give it a little bit more stability. So now the next step would just be we're going to pin this all together, sew it, and then we will have a bodice. bodice is all sewn up. I'm really happy with how it looks. The lacing looks really nice. I will be using just a regular ribbon. You can also use a shoelace. The next step is just going to be adding some bias tape here to the bottom to finish it off all nice and neat. But this is how we are looking, and I'm pretty happy with it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. Happy crafting!